Gen Z is quickly turning society against them. I gotta say, Gen Z is truly a bad group of apples. A bad bunch of apples. So if people don't realize just how bad Gen Z is, I'm here to continue drilling it home. Gen Z does not actually want to work for anything, and they are not practical people. They're not practical at all. They live in absolute and utter delusion. Let's jump into this video from this Gen Zer. It sounds like she's making sense, but then you have to take some things into consideration.
Cannot stand how the news has been dogging Gen Z and calling them lazy for not wanting to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of their lives. Let me put it in perspective for everybody who's a little confused here, okay? I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat. All by myself. I would not be capable of doing that. 20 years ago when you were getting started, you could live on your own. 20 years ago when you first started, you were able to do everything that I am now struggling to do. Let me add another perspective here. You've been working for 20 years. You have 20 years of working experience behind your belt. You have 20 years of experience in a career that has allowed you to gain raises, to get more money, to profit you in an economy that you created. You can sit here and you can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but I've been working my tail end off just to barely make it by. And respectfully, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I don't want to work my tail end off, wasting all of my life working just to barely be able to pay my bills. And that is what you created, not Gen Z. We're just here getting started. You've been doing it for the last 20 years. You tell me how it got ruined. We can sit here and we can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but you let the economy turn into what it did. You let it all run to hell. And now it's Gen Z's fault because we don't want to work to fix your mistakes.
Now, what's very interesting about this is, to be clear, what 20-year-old was living on their own at 20 years ago? Either you were in school, and when you were in school, you were living with your parents, or you went and you got a trade. And then from there, you were still living with your parents. Because starting out from a trade, you were often maybe starting at around $15 an hour, sometimes even $10 an hour. Depending on where you lived, you weren't going to pay rent with that. After a couple of years of working, then you could start thinking about that. Gen Z is crazy. Another very important thing that we need to point out about this young lady who's screeching and hollering is, ma'am, you work at Walmart, okay? Y'all, that's a Walmart uniform. I want y'all to just take a very close look at that. She works at Walmart. That's a Walmart vest, okay? She works at Walmart, and she is hollering and screaming because she can't afford to pay rent and live on her own and all of these things working at Walmart. I work 40 hours at Walmart and I cannot afford to provide for myself. Ma'am, 20 years ago, people that work here at Walmart could not afford to provide for themselves. And a lot of those people 20 years ago were making straight up minimum wage, federal minimum wage. You don't even know how good you have it that you're now pulling like $15 an hour at Walmart. And don't get me wrong, that inflation is horrible and the value of the money has decreased significantly. But you are completely out of it. And I'll tell you right now, why is she working at Walmart? This is a young woman. Why is she putting in 40 hours at Walmart? That makes no sense at all. Why aren't you in school? Don't get me wrong, the value of a college degree has diminished significantly, but you still have options. You can go and study to be a nurse. That's still a great field. Get into radiology. There's a bunch of small specialties. Study phlebotomy. Become a phlebotomist. Or cosmetology. Go and learn a trade. What's going on? You're working 40 hours at Walmart. I'll tell you right now what this girl is doing. Because Walmart money is not significant. So she's living at home with her parents, and you see, guys, give them time and they will always tell on themselves. Because she's hollering and screaming about still having to live at home with her parents. But if you're working 40 hours a week at Walmart, young lady, right? Because let's just do the math on that. You're not paying rent at home. It doesn't sound like it. It made it very clear that you couldn't afford to pay rent. Okay? So if you're making $15 an hour and you're working 40 hours a week, that works out to $600 per week. And over the course of, let's say, 52 weeks, that works out to $31,200. And, let's say she's paying 30% in taxes. She would be left over with about $21,840 a year. Now, keep in mind, she's not paying for rent. She's not paying utilities. Her only actual cost, if you think about it, are going to be the cost of maybe her car and the cost of food, although she's probably getting meals from her parents as well. So, where's all of your money going? I'm just like, no, it's a very, very good question. It's a very good question. Where is all of your money going, sweetheart? Because if mommy and daddy are footing the bill still for your health care, because you're on your parents' health insurance plan, okay? A lot of people now are able to stay on their parents' health insurance plan until they're like 25, I think, or maybe even older. So she's on her parents' health insurance plan, so she's not paying for a private health insurance. She's still eating food at home. Mommy and daddy are still feeding her. She's not paying for rent, utilities, any of that stuff. So I'm kind of missing a disconnect. You have over $20,000 of disposable income every single year. And I get it, you're working long hours for that money, but you don't have all of those other things to worry about. So what are you doing with your money? My guess is you're wasting it on fast food and designer clothing and a variety of other things. Yeah, it's very simple to see that. Very, very simple to see that. And then, of course, she's also living off the simp economy. So she has a bunch of simps that are subsidizing her living. That's how they all work. So going on dates, getting free meals, having dudes pay your phone bill, even though you're using Metro PCS or Mint Mobile. It's a complete and utter joke. A car, the purpose of a car is to get you from point A to point B. But Gen Z doesn't want to use older cars. They don't want to drive a 2010 or a 2014. And forget about driving something that's 20 years old. Nope, not Gen Z. Okay? That's a humiliation ritual for Gen Z. And then they wonder why so many people have a negative image of them. And they're like, we don't care, but then we care. This is nasty behavior. Really, really nasty behavior. And it's like the boomers are not good people. I got a message from a boomer earlier. And this guy is something else. This boomer, the boomers are stingy. They had it all. They had everything, and man, they blew it. And then they turn on the young, and they basically treat the young like crap. But let me make this very, very clear. You should not be looking up to the boomers or idolizing the boomers. Guys, sometimes I may get a $50 donation. Sometimes I get a $20 donation. Sometimes I get $10. Sometimes I get $2, right? And I say thank you to everyone. Hey, thanks for the cash, bro. Right? Might get $100, whatever. Here's the thing. I'm respectful. I say thanks. But keep in mind, I charge $100 per video request. Okay? If there's a request, there's a video you want me to review, or there's a topic you want me to cover, I charge $100. That's a service. That's my service fee. What I charge for my work. I give everything, all of the content on YouTube. It's free. You can watch it for free. A lot of you interact with me off YouTube for free. Okay, but if there's a specific topic you want me to cover, you know, topic or a video you want me to review, it's $100. And again, this is interesting. I want to show you something that a boomer said over to me, and I'm not shaming him. I want to thank him for his donation. Thank you for your donation. He said it's the second one he sent me this year. But I want you guys to look at this comment from this boomer. Give flash donation to angry guy. I would like to see some videos that are overall positive about boomers. I know some of us are seen as stingy, but we're not all stingy. This will be my second donation to you in 2024. Thanks, Angry. I really do admire your content. Well, that sounds really nice. Oh, thank you so much, right? The thing is, it's not all fun and games. You see, this boomer then, let's look at the amount of money he actually sent to me. $11.11. Sent me over $11.11 while asking for videos speaking positively about the boomers. Now, keep in mind, I cannot be bought, right? I'll do a video request if you ask me to review a video and give my thoughts on something. You send me over, and I understand people, the economy and everything, and I'm grateful for whatever anyone sends to me. But this is how the boomers operate. I'm 41 years old. I'll be 41 in a couple of months. And this is like the Zoomers don't understand. This is what we grew up with. These are the people that we grew up with. This is what the boomers are like. This is what the boomers are like. All right? Dudes will literally give you 10 cents and tell you here's a little something for you. All right? Ted's like what are you thinking, dude? What are the boomers thinking? And then even if they sent me $100, it would be problematic. Asking me to make positive videos about that's, why would you ask me to do something like that when you know that I have a negative impression of this specific group, of this demographic? If you said, well, okay, if you could talk about some of the positive aspects, I don't really see anything positive about this group of people. I'm going to be very honest. But the boomers don't respect us. They still, even at 40, the average boomer still looks at me like a stupid kid. They listen to the content. They still look at me as a kid. I'm just being Gen Z doesn't get it. The boomers don't actually respect us. We're just nothing but children to them. All right? We are This is how the boomers view us. They view us as children. They need to do as they're told and need to go out and earn the money and let the boomers continue to run up the credit card. This is the image of the boomers. And then you have Gen Z that is absolutely out of their minds trying to emulate the boomers. The center of their lives are money. They are so desperate for money. They're at this point making threats over money. It's terrifying when you look at Gen Z. It is terrifying how badly they're behaving. You had it so good. 20 years ago, you had everything. 20 years ago, I graduated from high school in 2001. I don't know what these lunatics are talking about. I was only 18 years old. Okay? And the Gen Xers that I went to school with, they were only a few years ahead of me. No one had any of this money. No one was wealthy. Everyone was just basically starting off life. And most of us lived with our parents still. I don't know, even after graduating from college, we still lived with our parents. Who are these lunatic people? Like, you get your first job, and then you think that you get your first job, and you suddenly start, you move out. It doesn't work like that. These people are crazy. Gen Z is crazy, crazy, crazy. Who the hell just moves out of their parents' house, as soon as you get your first job? It doesn't work like that. You have to have a job first, and you build yourself up, you save money, and if you're fortunate, depending on where you live, then you can think about moving out. And it takes time. You have to build money up, you have to save money. You know, being independent and all of this other nonsense, a lot of that came from the 90s songs and 2000 songs and Beyonce. These people, Beyonce was not independent of her parents. Like, these are complete lies. Like, all of these women are liars. All of these women, Kim Kardashian, all of the Kardashian girls were living with their mommy. They lived with their daddy, and then when daddy passed away, they continued living with mommy, and her husband, Bruce, who helped to raise them. They all, well into their 20s and 30s, they were living with mommy and daddy. The Kardashians. Like, what absolute nonsense is this? Okay? Beyonce, Miss Single Lady. Her mommy and daddy were there for her at every turn. Her daddy was her manager. All of these people that you hear about, their parents, a lot of them, they did not leave their parents until they got married. Even people like Lady Gaga, she was still with her father. She was broke as hell. She tried to become a mainstream singer numerous times. I think she said that she filed for bankruptcy like 2 or 3 times. She went on tour. When she was like going on tour, she had no money, and her father was like, "What's going on?" Like, all of these people that are famous, they were all broke and living at home, sometimes well into their 30s. I don't know what these people are talking about. And then it's like, are things hard right now? Absolutely. And not every Gen Zer has the ability to stay home and live at home. And I get that. And I realize how bad it is and difficult it is for a lot of Gen Zers out there. But so many of them are just rotten to the core, and they expect the world to be handed to them. And at like 22 years old or younger, they're all saying that they just want a house. And I'm like, are you lunatics? Are you insane? Even my baby boomer parents were not able to get their first house until they were well into their 30s. Like, when my parents purchased their first home, they were pushing 40 years old. I don't know, my father had been working for decades at that point. Gen Z is crazy. They're lunatics. Like, they're complete. Like, the boomers were pretty bad, but Gen Z is even worse. They're completely disconnected from reality. Like, what are you talking about, Gen Z? Yeah, my parents, their first home was like $130,000, and now it's worth like $1 million. And that's terrible. It's awful how the real estate value has skyrocketed, and the boomers have robbed America. But my parents couldn't purchase their first home. My father was making $60,000 in 1992 with no college degree. Okay? Like, my parents were bordering on about $100,000 by the late 90s, and they still refer to themselves as poor people. So I understand the fury that Gen Z feels. But at the same time, it's like, you have to understand that things don't just manifest. You have to start somewhere. You don't start out with a house. A lot of people start out with an apartment or something smaller. You have to be mindful and realistic. and hard times come for everyone. It sounds crazy. We're going to all go through ups and downs in our lives, and it's hard. It's really, really hard. It's not that I don't understand what they're going through. It's the fact that they, everyone that's older than them, they call a boomer, and they're extremely dishonest. And then, every so often, I'll have a Gen Zer that like basically, not just Gen Zers, but I'll have like someone who like spill the beans on them and say like every Gen Zer they know is doing dishonest stuff at work, and they're only showing up at work. They're only like showing up to work for like free food or to stealing tips. Like it's like really, really dishonest stuff. Really, really dishonest stuff, you know? And they just never stop. Gen Z just never stops. And then they're out here crying and complaining, and it's like they think that we're stupid. Like this young woman, she thinks we're so stupid. She's here crying on social media about not being able to afford anything. But bro, you live at home with your mommy and daddy. You're making a minimum of $15 an hour at Walmart. A minimum. You have at least $21,000 a year, a little over $21,000 a year in disposable income. And if you need the purpose of a car is to get you from point A to point B. You could buy a decent car cash for like $5,000 right now. But to drive around in an older car, that's a humiliation ritual for you. Like this is the crazy mindset of Gen Z. And you can see all of the makeup that this girl is working. So it's working, yeah, exactly, working, wearing. So you can tell right off the bat that she's living off the simp economy. And then she's hollering and screaming. Like like a lot of these people are brokies, 100% brokies. They don't have it, and they're bumming food off men, smokes, illicit substances. It's like, it's like, what kind of lifestyle are you living? A lot of these people, all they really want to do is eat, sleep, fart, drink, smoke, vape, you know, and then do it all again the next day. These people are jokers. And this, I say don't take this life too seriously. This is something that I learned. Don't take this life too seriously. But at the same time, Gen Z doesn't take anything serious at all, and that's the problem. On one hand, you have to work for things in life, but on the other hand, you have to realize that sometimes, no matter how hard you work, life just gives you poop. There was a video I watched a while back. It was this attorney. She's an attorney now. I tried to get her on my channel a while ago. She's cute. She was a Gen Xer, and this is an example. She was at TED and she was giving a talk, and this is years ago. She was giving a talk, and she basically explained that she was growing up. Her father used to like do these hunts. Like, so for example, like he would like set up a he wanted to teach her about hard work and how hard work could pay off. And he would like put like these tickets around the house, and she would basically have to go on hunts and find these tickets, and then she could trade them in to get the things that she wanted. And it would teach her that through hard work, and doing chores and stuff like that, you could basically earn what you wanted. And it was a life lesson in hard work. So like there was the easy bake oven came out, and she wanted the easy bake oven. And luckily she knew that her father had set something up. So she went and she started searching and putting in all the hard work to find this ticket, or to find the thing that would allow her to get the easy bake oven. And eventually she went and she found it, and it was absolute crap. It wasn't what she thought it was going to be, and she couldn't get the easy bake oven. And she started crying her eyes out, and she couldn't believe that her father would do something that terrible to her after spending all of this time teaching her that hard work pays off. as a little girl, she wasn't rewarded for her efforts. And her father, this is gotta love, gotta love him, gotta love. This is the generation that came before the boomers. You know, there were some decent people in that generation, especially the greatest generation. They did things differently. He laughed his butt. Well, she broke down in tears because she put in all of this work the entire day. She was working her butt off so that she can get what she needed, so she could get the easy bake oven. It ended up being nothing. And her father, after he let her sit there and cry for a bit, he said, "Listen, I've already taught you the importance of hard work, but now I needed to teach you another lesson. That sometimes, no matter how hard you work in life, you'll still get shit in the end." So, fast forward, now she's an attorney, she has a practice, and her father manages the business. You see, he basically taught her about life. And that's the important thing about life. Sometimes, no matter how hard you work, in the end, you're still just going to end up with poop. The important thing is knowing how to deal with it. Gen Z doesn't know how to live. All right? The boomers were handed everything, and they still have everything. But let me tell you this, there's a saying: those who are born rich often pass away poor, and those who are born poor often pass away rich. Gen Z is desperate for what the boomers have had, and they're never going to get it. It's gone. The boomers and their illicit gays, you have to understand, these people, they were given everything. They were given everything and they threw everything away. And it is not your place to be jealous of them. It really isn't your place, because that stuff is gone. They should never have been given the wealth and everything that they were given. They should never have been handed all of these things. All right? It should not have happened. This is a dishonest group of people. They literally tapped into Social Security, drained Social Security to pay for all of their toys. It started back in the 80s, and it continued under Bush, Clinton, you know, Bush Jr., or whatever you want to call him, Obama. It just never stopped. All of these presidents tapped into Social Security and drained it. There's almost $3 trillion left in the Social Security fund, but it's not enough, because the boomers every year are draining around over $800 billion. So the boomers are taking over $800 billion from Social Security every year. So some money is still going back in as a result of payroll taxes, but the thing is that they're basing the amount of money that will go into Social Security based on current estimates for the number of people in the workforce and the amount of taxes that are being collected. The workforce is going to shrink significantly over the next 10 years, and it is predicted that come 2035, it was previously 2034, now it's 2035, the Social Security fund will be completely out of money. Take into consideration this, however, the Social Security fund will be completely out of money come 2035, and the only thing that will be left to fund it will be payroll taxes. The economy is shrinking. They're not even taking into consideration that the boomers, come 2029, the last of the boomers will have retired, and they'll all be eligible for Social Security. They will all be eligible for Social Security come 2029. Every single one of them. And they're going to take it. They have no reason not to take it. It's crazy. It's really, really crazy. The first of Gen X will start turning 60, was it 65, 60 next year? Gen X years are 1965 through 1980. So it's ridiculous. And there's not going to be any. There's not going to be enough with AI disrupting, things, and a lot of people are going to be dropping out of the workforce for multiple generations. There's just not going to be any money there. All right, a lot of boomers will end up with $500 checks, and they're going to be greedy and needy over that money, but they can't. They're not going to be able to continue working in the workforce. It's just a lot of them, guys. The health, it's like they're trying to say that a lot of boomers are going to be living to be over 100 years old, but I think it's propaganda. Ozempic is a big deal. It's definitely a drug that's changing things, and it's going to result in increased lifespan for a lot of people, but I don't think it's going to be enough. The boomers lived very unhealthy lives, and you know they're not going to be you can't work forever. They basically told us, they told the millennials to basically plan for a very short retirement. This is what they said. They sent out notifications to millennial women, and he told them to plan for a very short retirement. You know, save for periods of breaks between working. And someone literally said in my video, "Those aren't breaks. That's periods of unemployment." They said plan for periods of unemployment, save for periods of unemployment, and then a very short retirement. So basically, expect to work throughout your entire life, and then have enough money there just to take care of you before you pass away. In other words, work until you can work no more, and then when your body finally gives out, and now you need hospice care, there's enough money there to take care of you through hospice. Like this is what went out like 5-6 years ago. 5-6 years ago, this is what millennial women were being told 5 to 6 years ago. Guys, don't forget that I have another channel called Angry, where I discuss gaming, anime, geek stuff, nerd stuff, real world stuff, and whatever else interests me. There's a link to the description of the video. Go check it out. Subscribe to my channel, support my work. And guys, if you're enjoying the content on this channel and you want even more of this content, you can head over to the Men Walking Away channel, where I release daily videos. And if you're enjoying the content on the Angry channel, go check out Men Walking Away, because you'll find more of this content there. And there's a link to it in the description of the video. Guys, what do you think regarding what I've said here? Gen Z is quickly turning society against them. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWM and Walking Away. And cheers.